everyone, my name's Carrie Morgan, and I am the host of this epic holistic empire summit. And what we're doing in this round two is really getting you engaged with your heart and your inner strength, right? Learning your self-worth, knowing what you're worth and claiming it, and then also coming on the other end and learning how to engage in sales and be confident and learn how to speak your truth and get paid for the things that you love. So today I have Leisa, which I'm super excited about. I met Leisa through a private group, and we definitely touched base a couple times. I would love to learn more, so I invited her to come and share her message with you. Now, Leisa is a self-made millionaire, and she is going to let you tap into your inner self-worth. So Leisa, please fill in the audience on all this wonderfulness that you are sharing with the world.
Thank you, Carrie. I'm so happy to be here and to be sharing with others. I have had a very interesting journey to arriving at where I am now as a business coach and an abundance mentor. But I worked in financial services for a really long time, and I, simultaneous to being a financial planner and being a mortgage banker and doing this sort of 25-year history of money stuff, my husband and I also had a business on the side where we were flipping houses, building homes, living in them, doing all of that for many years. And so the combination of the two is what brought me to where I am today. I also have been on a really intense spiritual journey that started back in 1999. And
Awesome.
I think the essence of what's happened for me is it was a desire at some point along the way to be able to bring this world of money and finance together with my spiritual journey and integrate them both. And ultimately that led me into coaching.
Yeah, so many people have that taboo around money and also just how to react to it, right? Learn to make it your friend. So I'm glad you're integrating the two. I see that a lot, but this is why I really found a disconnect online with people thinking they're worth it or knowing they're worth it, and then making the right offer so that they feel like their time is valuable instead of over delivering and undervaluing their time by having a low end offer and not making enough money for their actual service. So there was one word that you described yourself as, and so when someone leaves your presence, what type of word do you want them to feel? What's that emotion you want them to feel?
I feel like the most amazing experience we can feel as human beings is one of joy. Unconditional love combined with joy is kind of the way I think of joy, where you know who you are, you know where you're going, and you know what you really want the most in life, and that you're actually living on purpose. So that's how I love to leave people, when I've spent time with them, feeling.
Yeah, that is magnificent. Having that sense of joy, because what it does is elevate your vibration. So yeah, that's a really good word. I really love that. And I love that people are starting to engage more in the feeling of the power behind a word. And if you would constantly say the word joyful every day, it would just change the way you thought, or the way you say love or any of those words, which I always give people little testing things to do. And I feel like that is something we forget, that the high vibrational words should be more into your life. So you did describe your what you did, but is there a certain unique gift that you really want to be known for in the world?
It's so funny that you asked this, because it's the one thing that I think I hid from the world for the longest time, which is I've always been an emotional empath, which means that I have the ability to listen to people at a very deep level, and I can tune in to their emotional state of being, even when they're doing everything possible to shelter that from the world. So as you can imagine, it's been something where when you know that sort of thing about people and they don't want you to know it, it can be very uncomfortable, because I don't know that not everybody else is feeling it. At least I didn't for a long time.
Right.
Now I've stepped into this gift, and it's incredible because it allows me to see where people are blocked and where they're stuck in not being able to bring their life into that state of joy. and I can help them if they want. So now I surround myself with people who want that message, but for a long time, I think I surrounded myself with a lot of people who didn't really want to hear that. And it made me sad, right? Because
Yeah.
I had to hide that gift from the world, and now I don't do that anymore.
Yeah, that's awesome. Especially, and that's so powerful, right? You realized you needed to surround yourself around that people that wanted to hear that, because what is that doing for you? It's elevating your gift, right? It's
Yeah,
making it
yeah.
stand out so much more. That's awesome. I love that you said that. So many people forget. We think that we have to stay where we are, surround ourselves with the people that are in doubt. And, that definitely encouraged people to, oh yeah, let me just bring more people in that think the way I do. It's just one step, right?
Yeah, it's a big thing about giving yourself permission to be living that kind of life as opposed to just living what's coming to you.
Yes, so true. Yes, stop reacting and start creating. So we definitely would love to know how long you've been in business. And I know you touched base about a little bit about your past, but how has your past really aligned to your current business? So when you were a self-made millionaire, how did that start to make you feel around creating your own money and also saying, you know what, I love this. I love this feeling of being in this power and just creating and waking up and making my life however I want it to do. So yeah, can you elaborate a little bit more on that?
Yeah, my story is a little different than I think people expect because when we achieved that financial success, my husband and I realized that actually not very much had changed in our lives. We were both still living with a scarcity mindset, no matter how
Okay.
much money we had. And it caused me to realize, after working with several multimillionaires for many years, why there was actually a big disconnect, that it actually didn't matter how much money you had if you didn't do the work inside to rise to that state of being. And so I teach a lot about scarcity mindset, and it has really shaped my life, even to the point where when I started my company about 2.5 years ago, I began with group coaching and group courses. And the first course I did, about halfway through, we were all having emotional breakdowns together about our relationship with money and how messed up it was, including me. I'm the facilitator.
Yeah.
And I think I had the biggest breakthrough because one day somebody sent me something. And if you've ever had it happen where you're like reading something and all of a sudden the clouds part and the sky opens and the sun comes through, but it was such a shock that before you knew it, I was in a ball on the ground sobbing because I could see that I had been living my whole life in scarcity, but I didn't even know it. And so
Yeah.
that was like a little over 2 years ago when that happened. And it started to change the work that I do, in that I knew that I had a serious problem that I needed to help, and that if I couldn't solve it with me, I couldn't help other people. So it began more and more of the work that I teach today. And it's been amazing because every time I've had a big breakthrough about scarcity and moved through it into this state of abundance, I've come to see that that has a ripple of impact in the world that I'm creating, and it touches other people's lives so that they can have those same breakthroughs and they don't have to go through it in quite the extremes that I have, which is awesome, right? Nobody wants to go through living pain any longer than they absolutely, have to. So if somebody can help them, that's what I feel like I do now, is I help them get out of that way of thinking into a new way of being.
Oh, that is so amazing. I love that you walk the walk first, right? Like you've been there and you've done that. And that is exactly what a lot of people don't do. They're just kind of like learning things, but not actually going through in an emotional level and clearing and detoxing. So that was very powerful, that statement, and just how you recognized, your ability. And even though you were making money, your mind was still in scarcity, right? And that's huge, huge, huge. So like, say if I'm your client, what key ingredients would you give me? I mean, or give an example of a client you had that you've seen the best results in the fastest time. So I know everything takes work. So the fastest time could be 3 months. It could be, but for them, it was like they came back to you and said, oh my gosh, I saw these results after you told me to do this simple thing. So yeah, can you give me an example of like the powerful message or the actions or the implementation? I can't even talk. How you implement a procedure to one of your new clients or an old client.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. I do a lot of stuff group and private. And what I actually want to highlight is the power of group, the group experience in this whole moving through scarcity. And so one client in particular comes to mind where she joined up a class that I do called Breaking Free to Abundance. It's women specific. And the whole experience is about going through it together with a group of people where you're all revealing kind of where you're stuck and what you want to be doing differently. Does that make sense?
Yes, that definitely makes sense.
Because there's something about money where we've been very isolated, right, from one another. And when we start to realize that our stories aren't all that different than other people's, then we start to feel more open and safe and secure that we can share and we can actually be open to change. Because when we keep it to ourselves, it's hard to change. So I found that, and one of my clients in particular, what she had was she had done a ton of self-help, like 20 years of self-help.
Wow.
Came into the class, and by the time we were done, so it's 3 months long, and it ended in a retreat here in Sedona, Arizona, because I love that personal experience.
Yes, power.
It's kind of like we've done a lot, but now let's do the really awesome, heavy lifting or deep diving. And at the end of it, what happened for her was she realized that there had been so many beliefs that were keeping her from living on purpose, from keeping her from shining her light. Even after doing all those years of work, there were still a lot of secrets in the closet that kept her from being totally authentic with her coaching clients, with herself, with her family.
Wow.
And through the course of the 3 months, which involves cleaning things out, like I always use a very basic technique, which is let's clean the cup. Well, actually, let's dump the cup out. Let's figure out what beliefs we have that really need to be let go of.
Yes.
And I'm good at centering in on those. So we empty the cup, then we clean the cup out, then we start to decide what we want to put in the cup going forward. So what are the things, this is what I like about the coach that we work together with, is it's all about planning what you really, really, really want deep inside now that you're clear of that gunk. And then the next step is opening yourself up to receiving, because I've found that people are really good at shutting down and closing down, and the world gives us a lot of reasons to try and protect ourselves.
Yes.
But if we're protecting, we're also shutting down the stuff that we're wanting to come into our life. So the third part of that 3 month process is opening up to expand and receive what we're really here to receive, right? Abundance, beauty, awesomeness, confidence, all the things that we've been shutting out, we become more open to. And what ended up happening for her, by the time we finished up the retreat, she actually signed up to come back to a retreat 6 weeks later, because in that time frame, she'd already lost 20 pounds. She had, during the course of the 3 months, she had gone from making hardly anything to making like $15,000 a month. Like, she couldn't believe that in 3 months you could have that kind of transformation.
Yes.
But all of a sudden she was just really open, and she started revealing parts of herself that she had held off and held back on. And in that, I think what happened was her clients just really loved the authentic person that was showing up, who loved herself more than she had ever loved herself before. And all of a sudden, all these great things started happening. And what she said was the weight just started coming off, because she didn't feel that reason of protection anymore. She could really reveal herself. So I'm not a weight loss coach, and that's a new one for me. But I'm like, bring it on. Like, whatever you want. That's what abundance is whatever you want. Whatever's important to you is what you are here to receive when you give yourself permission to receive it.
Yeah, so we definitely connect so much. And she did a session for me. It was awesome. So I definitely want to say that it definitely does help to open up, because we are in that protection mode. We don't even realize it, but there's something that happens when we're tiny, when we're a little kid. And I do this when I say you have to let go of your old blueprint so your new blueprint can come in and attach itself to you, because you're always wanting something new, but you don't make space for it. So it was spot on, exactly what you said. And I totally agree with you 100%. When you are done hiding, you just lose the weight, right? It just like falls off. It's like a protection mode or something. But that was amazing. I love what you just said. I mean, some people can't realize that it can happen like that, but it's all about you trusting yourself again, right?
Yeah.
That trust.
You actually bring up a really good point. And one of the things I'm good at creating is an environment of judgment-free zone. Like
Yeah.
if you have any kind of judgment when you're trying to do money work, you might as well just throw in the towel, because judgment causes us to go back into our other patterns that we're used to.
Mm-hmm.
And when we're all together in that environment, judgment is not allowed. It is not supported. And once you kind of get around it for a while, you realize that you've been really influenced by a lot of stuff, and we're judgmental of other people. They're judgmental of
Yes.
us. And we really need to create a new environment where that isn't happening in order for the transformation that naturally wants to come out to happen.
That is so, yeah, right. It's like a world of judgment. It's like, and nowadays I definitely tell people, try to just keep your vibration up, because you will survive whatever's going on in this world right now. Do you know what I mean? You may, and I'm like, people are losing their friends. They're going out and like, I don't ever want to talk to you again, and I'm like, calm down. Like, this is way too much judgment. All you're doing is just lowering your vibration. Everything's going to be okay no matter what. We survived this long, right? So I
Right.
love that non-judgment. I actually, because I did teach some yoga and I do some private, and I would do a class, because the yoga for me it was about giving, but it was also about me healing myself, right? That was the journey that I became a teacher on, to heal myself. So I actually did a class and I said, I want you to go all day without complaining, no judgment. And they literally were like, there's no way it can happen, right? And I'm like, oh my God. I was like, you have to put a rubber band on and just like ping yourself, so you get that like almost like the dog bell type of thing reaction every time you complain, because it's so deep in our subconscious, we don't even know we're doing it, right?
Totally.
And it's
So
all
true.
mostly self-inflicted, right? So that leads us right into, now, say if I am a female entrepreneur and I'm like trying to really master my day, can you give us what a day would look like in your business as a female entrepreneur, and what key alignments you use to keep you focused and, creating abundance?
I'd say the biggest thing that I've done recently is I use Google Calendar, and I love to make my calendar golden colored,
Oh, that's cool.
which is kind of fun, right? Because abundance and golden experience. But I also am really focused on organizing my day around the idea that, one day may be podcast day, another day may be client day, another day may be fabulous finance day. And so the more I can do to keep myself aligned with the things that are most important to me, the more I have satisfaction at the end of the day that I've done what I came to do. And, I work from home, so I came to my desk to do the things that I know are going to be the most profitable, the most satisfying, the most exciting, and the most joyful. And if something doesn't fit those criteria, I'm like taking it off the calendar. Like, I am really good about saying this works for me. Once I notice I'm doing something that doesn't work for me, whether that be, working with a client that doesn't give me those kinds of feelings, because I feel like it's a two-way street. You want to be surrounding yourself with the people who really do. Both parties are walking away feeling joyful from the conversation, right? I mean, that's
Yeah.
important. So those are just some of the things that come to mind. Is that helpful?
Oh yeah, no, that's perfect. Because just realizing, I do that also, but when you spend one day to one project, you fill up and you get that completion and it makes you feel amazing, right? So I was just on Entrepreneur on Fire, which was awesome, a great podcast. And so I had learned by just looking and figuring out what he did and how he built that. What he does, but his one, magical idea, which a lot of people can learn from this, is he was like, I want to do a podcast when he was first starting out. He's like, so if I did one every day or every week, what number would I get to at the end of the year? So he would make his Mondays, or, I don't know what day he does now, but podcast day, where he would interview 8 people a day. So that is how he got to his number of over 1,500, because like you're thinking about, but you can think about the magic you're creating, right? And then you just edit 8 of them and they go live, so you're just like, it's amazing when you get that like number process down and you take the action of really doing that. And you can imagine all the energy behind every interview because he's in the flow. It's not like every new interview, there's something different. And then he has to, get all set up. He's like, boom, every Monday. And he's got that fire going. He's going right through 8 and his whole day is just, but I love that, right? Like figuring out how to do that in your business, whether it's revenue, whether it's new clients, whether it's, getting attention online or live videos, but doing something all day when you're in that flow, right?
Totally. It's awesome.
Yeah. So how do you balance awareness and mindfulness daily? Like, do you have a daily routine? Like when shit hits the fan, what is a phrase or a trigger word that pulls you back and say, get your shit together, girl, or whatever it is, because sometimes I do that a little bit maybe, but I'm like, wake up. Like, what are you doing? I have to I want to pop my head or do something, but yeah, so I'll let you go. That would be good if you can help share that with the audience.
Yeah, I teach meditation and mindfulness practices, and everything I do always starts with a meditation. So there are days where I'm doing many meditations throughout the day because they might involve my clients or my sessions. But I also start out every morning. I'm a really early riser. I've learned how to start the day without even getting out of bed. I can meditate, and that may be anywhere between 20 minutes and an hour. I process through the day and what's happening and what I'll be doing, and seeing that day really visualized in front of me is very powerful. I also notice that there will be times in the day, like you said, that are disruptive, that shift the flow. And I'm really good at noticing when I'm centered and when I'm grounded and when I'm not. And so I may be burning sage. I may be doing grounding exercises. I may be opening, to God, to the divine. I'm always paying attention to what's going on for me, because I want to be a clear vessel of communication, of love for my clients. I need to be that, and if I'm not, when I meet with my clients, it shows in not as helpful of coaching as I want to be doing. So
awesome. That sounds amazing. So let's go into that. So what does spiritual alignment look like for you in your eyes, and how have you bring that to being almost the power of your brand or the power of your business?
Mm-hmm. So I spent 12 years studying Buddhism and teaching meditation and mindfulness. And what that meant was I was going regularly on very long meditation retreats. Like at one point, I actually locked myself almost in a closet for 3 months. And I did a very advanced meditation practice because I couldn't go and do it at the monastery. I had to do it at home because I had a 1-year-old baby and a husband and a job. But I was so committed to my mindfulness practice of breaking free of a lot of the problems I had come from in my childhood that I devoted all this time to this practice. Long story short, at about 2010, my experience with Buddhism started opening up to the point where I didn't really consider myself Buddhist anymore. I started opening up to what I'll call the divine, to God, to connection to Jesus, to all the major religious teachers. I studied pretty much everything. And how I describe it now is I kind of went to the top of the spiritual mountain. I did I got all the answers that I was looking for to the point where I could come back and live my life in an incredibly free way, but no question at any moment of the day that I am totally supported by the divine. I have nothing to worry about. I am a channel of that love and that beauty in every moment. And how it shows up, I have no idea, except I do know when I'm not showing up in that place and when I am showing up. And it's up to me to surrender and let go, continuously throughout my life, because I don't know all the answers, anything. And what's funny is, as you do these, deep inner journeys, I think what you find out is that you know nothing. You thought you were going to get all the answers, but in the end, you're like, no, the more I'm in the present moment and I'm just open, the more happy I am and the more helpful I am to others. And that's plenty.
Yeah, that is incredible. I love it. I love your self journey. I love your self-love story, because we forget about that, right? We forget it starts with us. It starts with your inner thoughts, your inner love, your inner discipline, your inner awareness. Your It's all about the self. And when we can heal that process and really get that belief, but also just open up to receive, it is amazing what can happen. And I'm glad that you're out there helping people, because boy, a lot of people need it, right? I mean, I've needed it, and I know that but when you see that transformation in somebody, it just lights you up, right? To know what you've done. So can you explain, like, maybe like what one of your days looks like? Is it always different? Because I know you said you meditate, but can you give us like a time warp, kind of like, or a time zone or time frame? I'm trying to
So
say, yeah.
I am very, very busy right now.
Okay.
In fact, I would say that I'm in the process, right? We go through these phases in our business where we're up leveling and we're having to
Yes.
look at everything that we're doing and question if that's a good use of our time or not. And I'm in the midway process for that, is what I would say. You go through many phases, but I'm in one of those
Yeah.
phases.
Okay.
I wake up very early, typically around 4 a.m. I have the meditation practice, and typically I'm, hitting the computer or the writing, because I do a lot of writing,
Hmm.
by 4:30. I'm off to the gym before my son is getting up. Most of the time, I have an 11-year-old, and I also have a 19-year-old who's off in college. But by the time he's getting up, I may already be on a coaching call right now, because my practice is so full. So it's right now, I keep saying right now, is I just know that I am heading to even greener pastures, because
Okay.
when we transition and we have a lot of flood of business come in that we haven't necessarily totally prepared for, we are going to end up working a lot more in the beginning of that phase, and then it starts to come down to integration. So I'm in this phase of like, how do I integrate my personal life with all of the business that's coming in? How do I do that so that my family and my husband are happy and joyful, and I'm also joyful, and my clients are joyful? And that's kind of the process that I'm learning about now. Does that help?
Yeah, no, that definitely does help, because I always tell people that your 24 hours is a gift. It's just how you unwrap that gift when you get out of bed. So our energy is so low, or we feel like we have so many issues going on, our vibration's low. Like, you're in that up leveling where your energy is getting higher and higher. So you have all this wonderful things are coming into your life, like you said, all that abundance. And it's just about meshing those two together so that everything works properly, which is great. And people need to see that. Oh, maybe a person would say, oh my God, this is just too much for me. I wasn't ready for this. Do you know? Instead of being open for that expansion. So yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And I think a lot of people would definitely be able to see, yes, I need to up level, and I need to, like, maybe get up earlier. You know what I mean? And figure out
Right.
how to switch up what they need. Yeah.
And the other thing that I'm doing is I'm really putting out the energy around finding those partners who can come in and help me. And I'll tell you, it's a magical experience because I've got people coming in. Some of them are, coaching clients who are like, hey, I noticed that you're really busy. Like, can I help you with some of the things you're working on? And I'm like, yeah, because they know what I'm teaching. They know what I want to bring forth to the world. So please, but I don't think that we always realize that the resources around us actually want to help us. We just need to be more open to the fact that they're there. And then they start to come and we start to work out, the mechanics and the details of how that can actually happen. And that's the place that I'm in right now.
I love it. I definitely love it. So, like you said, you have people who are helping you. So, what is your big vision for your ultimate performance in your lifespan, your existence, the legacy you want to live, your worldwide expansion? Like, where do you see yourself? Maybe 2 years, 5 years. You don't have to put like a year on it, but like, what do you want to be known for in your space or your brand?
I'd love to be known as a person who is inspiring the vision that we don't have to live in a scarcity way of being, and that we can at any given moment step into abundance. So I want to really create a very clear pathway for people to not have so much like, I think a lot of people would say, well, how do you do it? And it's like, I want to make it so crystal clear that if someone gives themselves permission to live in abundance, they can follow those steps and get where they want to be. Like, that's my dream, that it's just easily accessible. And so, writing books and doing the podcast and writing a blog and coaching people and probably coaching coaches, right? So that they can do this work for their clients is what really gets me excited. And beyond that, I have no idea.
Right, good. I love because everyone always has a different answer. So I always want to just see, what people think. Because some people have everything planned, and they're just filling in the gaps. And then people, hey, like, this is what I want to be. And I love it. That was awesome. Great. So how has alignment, we're getting down to the last question, help you create and sustain abundance and wealth? If there's one thing that you would pull out, what would you say about, being in alignment that you really saw this shift in your scarcity mindset, and that really like you make sure you would do that every single day? That's like a non-negotiable. Well, that's something you're going to do every day as a daily ritual. For some reason, my words are just, I'm so excited to be on here with you. I just can't keep my words out.
So you've mentioned it several times, and there's no confusion that as we step into loving, allowing, and fully accepting ourselves as a human being that is, doesn't need to be perfect, that can be full of quirkiness and, do all kinds of strange things, that the more I am able to embrace all these parts of myself and be really comfortable expressing in that way of being, everything else seems to magically work itself out.
Yes, I believe in that wholeheartedly. I have had times where I said, I'm going to meet the CEO of this guy that was on Shark Tank because I'm going to be on there, right? So, and I knew he lived locally, and I just told my sister, I'm going to meet him. It doesn't matter. So like one opportunity kind of came and it kind of fell, and I was like, okay, whatever. And then I just kept getting this email from this entrepreneur event I used to go to. And I'm like, okay, let me just open this thing. It's like, seems, and don't he was one of the speakers? And I was just like, oh my God, I'm just going to go. So it was at this huge CW in Philly, the networking station. And I got there early because, I said, let me get there early and I'm going to find probably some time I could talk to him. I just waited 5 minutes. He ended up giving me 40 minutes of his time. I would have never gotten that if I would have tried to call his office. You know what I mean? I mean, he's super busy. His company's worth like $10 million a year or something with these little sponges. So, but it was just me setting that intention inside and just believing, that this was something I needed to encourage me. So awesome. So could you leave the audience with a golden nugget of something that that when you share with people and they can take this simple action step and they could feel that like, yes, I believe in myself again?
I think that the breath is far underrated in our attention to it and our ability to just, no one, right? No matter how
Mhm.
much money you don't have or do have, is immune from using the power of the breath to relax, to calm down, to just breathe and be in the present moment. And when we can, put little notes, perhaps sticky notes, where we get ready in the morning and on the door as we leave, that, or in our car, wherever we spend time, little notes that say, honey, take a nice deep breath and relax for a moment.
Yeah. I could jump up and down right now. That no, the breath is, I love that. And like you said, I teach yoga too. And I believe in the breath. I like to tell people just inhale. I think I listen to some of these meditations too, and I get things, but you're inhaling a word and then you're exhaling a word, right? So that keeps you in that consciousness. Like I like to inhale the word love and then just exhale, release. So I'm letting go, but that's the magic. And I say, what is the one thing you can't live without? It's your breath. And everyone will say, oh, my cell phone, or, or my boyfriend, or, all these crazy things. But when you really think about it, you can live without water for a couple days. You can live without food. As soon as you stop breathing, it's over. So, I mean, the power is in your breath, and really getting that inner connection is huge. I want to say thank you so much, Leisa, for being with us today. So we're going to be saying goodbye to Leisa, but we first would love for Leisa just to share where we can connect with her. And if, there's a certain section like a quiz or something you want the people to go to, or a little small offer, you can definitely tell us about that now.
Oh, that's great. Thank you. So I have two websites. One is wealthclinic.com, and that's where you find the podcast and the blog that I was talking about. And then another site is called leisapeterson.com, and that has lots of different freebies. But the thing that's coming up for me that would be more helpful than anything is if you go to abundancegift.com, you can download a energy chakra cleansing meditation that is just gorgeous. I have emails coming in all the time telling me how much it's helping people, but it's all about cleaning out, right? I talked
Yeah.
about first we have to clean things out before we go into expansion. We want to know that we've got room. So this
Yes.
meditation helps people clean things out. It's also helping you to build the prefrontal cortex of your brain because it's a guided visualization, and it's taking you on this beautiful journey that allows you to do the work yourself. And I think pretty magical things will happen if you try it out. So that's my gift.
Awesome. So we're going to have all those links in there for right underneath so that anyone can go in and check it out and make sure you take the action. Because what this session or this series of holistic empire, it's about building your empire within, right? That strength, those brick by brick, building that foundation inside of you for that inner strength, that self-love, right? So when you definitely know in your space that you are confident with who you are, then you can start to listen to the downloads. You will take action. And so this is about taking action. That's why I let the speakers have little gifts for you or offers so that you can go out there and say, I'm committed to, making sure I invest in myself. Because really, you cannot put a price on skill, right? When you do the work behind it, no one can take that away from you. And so that is what we really want to share with the audience and everyone. And I want to say thank you so much, Leisa, for everything, for being here today. So make sure you come back because we're going to have another wonderful global speaker coming your way. So I will talk to everyone soon. So we're going to say bye.
Bye.